Welcome to the show, the $1 Million Show. My name is Charlton Curry with Big C, with the Charlton Curry and Big C Sports Radio. We do Real Talk. Today is March the 7th, 2016, and this segment is sponsored by Cadillac of Northern California. Go see the Cadillac dealers in Northern California. You have to see the Escalade. Tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you over there. And also, Big C, before we start out the show, I know, like you, I want to offer my condolences to the Reagan family. The First Lady, Nancy Reagan, she had a long life and a great life, but that ended over the weekend. And the former First Lady, one of the best First Ladies, I think, in the history of this country, under the late President Ronald Reagan. And ironically, Ronald Reagan told Gorbachev to tear down the wall. And the Republican Party nowadays, they have candidates like Donald Trump that are trying to build up walls. What are your thoughts on Nancy Reagan and how great a First Lady she was, Big C?
Well, you know, that kind of tarnishes the legacy of the great Nancy Reagan. She did so much for American society, American women, American kids. Remember, she had the no drug policy. She helped her husband fight the war on drugs. She really implemented that for the late President Ronald Reagan. She was the spearhead. But, you know, the legacy that she leaves behind as a trailblazer in the White House as a female is something that will be there throughout history, and history will favor her very well over time.
Well, I definitely agree with that, Big C. And again, for everyone, we know it's a political season. We also have a sports show, and they intertwine. But we would be remiss without just offering our thoughts to the Reagan family and how much they've meant not only to California, but to the nation as a whole. And as
to the world, Charlton, to the world. They were a world family.
Yes.
You know, and that's what presidents do. He left his stamp on society and the world. Ronald Reagan.
Well, love or hate the Republican Party, that's politics, all's fair in love and war. And as we talk about politics, and if you saw the Cadillac Open in Doral over the weekend, you know, Adam Scott won, and in fact, he shot a 3 under par 69 to win. He won $1.6 million by winning that tournament. But ironically, we were just talking about the late, great President Ronald Reagan and the late Nancy Reagan, First Lady. And Donald Trump lands his helicopter at the golf course. And he has every right to do that because he owns it. And as we talk about some of the great leadership like President Obama and Michelle Obama, they're great figures worldwide. And I know how we tie politics, Big C, into sports. We followed up last week with Chris Rock opening the Oscars. And we talked about so many things, Will Smith. But I want to get your thoughts on this, Big C, because just because we talked about it last week, it doesn't mean that everybody listened to it. But I just want to get your thoughts again on this is a golf course that is owned by Donald Trump. Cadillac, which also sponsors our show, is a sponsor of that golf tournament. But there was hardly any pushback from the brethren and the media about how Donald Trump was conducting himself, talking about the size of his package. And here we are with a great golf course. Just your thoughts again on that, Big C.
Well, you know, not just that, but if you listen to him in his latest debate, you know, the profanities that are starting to come out from Donald Trump now over the national airways, I don't think that they're using that 7-second kill switch because few for profanities last night. Donald Trump, you know, he revered, you know, he goes back to the old evangelical mindset of the South. And that's why he does so well in that region of the country. When he talks about taking back the country, those people who feel that since desegregation that they've lost their staple in America.
Yeah.
But, you know, America was always been taken from somebody else, the Native American Indians.
Yeah.
America was taken from them. So if there's ever any...
And I know what you're saying, Big C, if there's ever any thought about what happens with politics and how some people are either pro or con. And again, for everyone listening, this is not about being Democrat or Republican. This is just about being people who are looking at a way to carry a legacy of what's right and wrong. So Big C, as we just follow up that point about the legacy you're talking about and how sometimes, I know you're in the Southeast, you cover the East Coast, just the thought of why that mentality with Donald Trump as a sports owner of a golf course, why that's so prevalent and there's not any pushback even from the media. Your thoughts on that, Big C?
Donald Trump is saying...
Go ahead, Big C.
Donald Trump is saying things that, for
Yes.
So he's like their sounding board. You know, when he talks about other nationalities and other races, you know, and I spoke about taking the country back. You know, one of the greatest athletes of all time was the great Jim Thorpe,
yeah.
a Native American who had his Olympic medals taken away from him because he had played some pro baseball at one point. Now all these pro athletes are in the Olympics. And so it was done to him because he was non-Anglo. He was Native American. He was labeled the world's greatest athlete.
Yeah.
And so to them, that was like an embarrassment that somebody who came off a reservation is better than anybody who's gone to an Ivy League, a Pac-10, well, it was Pac-8 back then, Big Ten school, or anything along that line.
Yeah.
You know, here was Jim Thorpe, the greatest athlete in the world. So, you know, America did what they could do at that time through its racism to strip him. But when you talked about former President Reagan and Gorbachev tearing down the wall in East Berlin, and now we have Donald Trump talking about putting up a wall. What are you putting up this wall for? What are you protecting? What are you hiding?
Yeah.
You know, America is an open door country. And when you look at many of the sports figures in America, they came into this country. And there was a sports figure today, Charlton, that tested positive at the Australian Open for steroids.
Yeah.
Maria Sharapova. Now, she's blonde-haired, blue-eyed.
Yeah.
She looks like Donald Trump's wife.
Right.
So there's no backlash from the media saying, well, you know, she didn't know.
Right.
You know, in tennis, there's two bands in tennis. There's a 2-year ban and there's a 4-year ban.
Yeah.
But because of Sharapova, I don't see it going any more than 6 to 12 months. There's an air of racism in that decision being made that you're going to go outside the rules of the National Tennis Organization.
Yeah.
And give her a pass because she's blonde-haired, blue-eyed.
Well, the ITF, they've mentioned that she's been on that drug for about 10 years, and they actually issued that it was illegal to take after January the 1st of this year. But everyone has, I mean, even Lance Armstrong, there's a movie coming out about Lance Armstrong. We've seen so many things with athletes over the years. And even as we get into this next segment, sponsored by BMW, the ultimate driving machine, go down and test drive the 750 BMW, the ultimate in luxury cars. As we get back into the sporting world, Big C, we finish up with the golf. Adam Scott, 3 under par, 69, worth $1.6 million. Bubba Watson finished second. Willett was third. McIlroy, which ironically started Sunday in first place, he finished fourth. And then Mickelson finished fifth. Just of note, I know Tiger Woods wasn't there, but he has 18 World Golf Championships. 18. And that's incredible because the players behind him have only 3, and that's McIlroy. As we get into, you talked about Sharapova. Serena Williams, the most dominant tennis player. And you think about players like Billie Jean King and Navratilova and all these great tennis players from the past.
Steffi Graf. Martina Hingis. These were marvelous women playing golf. I mean, not golf, but tennis. Over the years, Charlton.
Yes.
And none of these have ever had that scandal of, you know, performance enhancement.
Yes.
And with knowledge nowadays and access to all medical things, medical issues, Sharapova, you could say, yes, I've been using this for 10 years. But, you know, Jose Canseco, as you know, came out with
the honest one. The honest one.
You know, the only guy that was ever honest about steroid use in professional sports, and everybody ostracized and blasted Jose.
Yeah.
Because he opened up Pandora's box.
Yeah.
And now the scenario with Sharapova, you know, to say that she's been on this drug for 10 years, she doesn't have followers and handlers and sponsors and an agent who is looking into everything that goes into her body.
Yeah.
So to say that I didn't know and I was not aware, that's just a straight out lie.
Well, you know, they don't drive their own cars, Big C. They don't wash their own clothing. They don't even carry their own bags. But so to not know what you're putting in your body, and we can give everyone the benefit of the doubt. That's just, I wonder how people like Serena Williams feel about that because they've been dominant. Billie Jean King, they've never had those accusations made toward them.
No, they didn't. But, you know, here it is with Sharapova that, you know, this allegation comes out. Well, it's not an allegation. It's been found to be factual.
Yeah.
And so, you know, the next phase is the penalty phase.
Yeah.
But, you know, how do they protect her image? That's what tennis is looking at right now.
Yeah.
How do we protect her? Because she is one of the more recognizable. And I'll take it even a step further. We talked about Tiger over the past couple of shows.
Yeah.
About the endorsements that he lost.
Yeah.
Over this alleged sexual scandal that he was involved in.
Well, he lost it because his wife was white. He was accused of sleeping around against a Caucasian woman. If we just be honest about it, that's what happened, because he's not the first guy in the world to ever do that.
No, but, you know, his thing was over a sexual escapade. And here's Aaron Andrews today, got awarded $55 million over a sexual incident.
Right.
Of somebody peeking at her.
Right.
And here's Tiger that lost hundreds of millions of dollars in sponsorship.
Yeah.
Because he was involved sexually outside of his marriage. Now, here's Sharapova, probably one of the most recognizable, marketable faces in tennis beyond Serena.
Yeah.
How much is she going to lose over a drug scenario? For getting caught using a banned drug.
Yeah.
You can say substance if you want, but it's a banned drug.
Right.
So, to be on record as a known drug user in the competition, how much will she lose?
Well, that's very powerful, because that's to be known. And as you go back to Erin Andrews, if you think about what happened with her, anyone can go into any hotel now in the United States of America and claim that someone knowingly took pictures of you and distributed those on the internet. I think Kim Kardashian did that back in the day and made her famous with a guy named RJ. Yeah. But see, that sets a precedent for anyone to say that they hold a hotel accountable, which seems to be unfair because of the millions of people that travel all over the world and the ones who actually go there just to get a good night's sleep. Now they have to have this precedent being made. Anyone can accuse any hotel of letting someone take a picture of you and distribute that, and now they're open to being sued for $55 million?
So, Charlton, what's going to happen when someone's taking a picture out of the pool of someone, you know, sunbathing, and they have their straps off their back, and they have a thong bikini on, and someone takes a picture and posts it, and you see an image of this hotel in the background? Is this hotel going to be liable now because someone took my picture while I was at the hotel and you didn't stop them?
See, I think that's a dangerous precedent.
It's almost like when we talk about the gun laws in America, you know, the right to bear arms, the freedom of speech.
Yeah.
And this comes down to freedom of speech.
Yeah.
You can't control an individual's acts,
right,
even when they're on your property. You know, and to say that this hotel chain is liable for someone taking photographs at their hotel, there's not secure measures set up that every room can be protected.
Right.
There's only so much security staff at a hotel. So, you know, you think about these incidents in the locker room, and see, I was playing ball when they allowed female reporters in the locker room, such as Erin Andrews.
Yeah.
And male athletes were appalled.
Yeah.
And they're still appalled by it, because now you only have so long to dress to make yourself presentable for these female reporters.
I remember that.
On the other hand, Charlton, male reporters are not allowed in female baseball players' locker rooms, volleyball player locker rooms for female players, and any other female sport. Male reporters are not allowed in. So why the double standard? Now you're allowing Erin Andrews to sue because she's saying she's going under emotional duress, and yet she wants to see half-clothed male athletes every week.
And see, ironically, Big C, I'm glad you brought that up, because I've been in many professional locker rooms from the 49ers, Golden State Warriors, even down in Florida for the Panthers hockey team. And you always see female reporters in these locker rooms. So I could just see the day coming that some pro athlete is going to have someone say, hey, someone took a picture of me, whoever it came from, if it's posted on the internet, could they turn around and sue whatever organization or even arena that they happen to be in? So that's something that I think is a dangerous precedent that could be set. But as we get into another segment, and I know one of the biggest names in pro football, and you love talking about pro football, Big C, and this section is brought to you by NorCal Ford. Go see your Northern California Ford dealers. You got to test drive the F-150. They make it the best trucks nowadays. Tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. When you think about football, and we all have followed this guy for about 18 years, and his father actually is kind of the senior football coach, if you think, or player, and that's his father, Peyton Manning. I look at what Peyton Manning's done throughout his 18 years, Big C. Archie's his father, of course, kind of the father of all quarterbacks, if you think about it.
The Manning clan.
The Manning clan. Now, 12